Hi, I'm Lillian, the kind of person who believed family always came first, until my own family showed me otherwise. My grandmother Vera was my rock after Mom died. She practically raised me during those last years of high school, while my grief-stricken dad checked out emotionally. When he brought Richard home 8 years ago and announced they were getting married, Vera was the one who helped me accept this new reality. "You doing okay, sweetheart?" Vera asked as I stared at the strange man who was now my stepfather. "I'm fine. If Dad's happy, I'm happy." That was a lifetime ago. Now I'm sitting in some stuffy law office while a man in an expensive suit reads Vera's will. My stomach is in knots. The entirety of the estate, including the family home, investment accounts, and all personal belongings, are to be distributed to the beneficiaries listed in Appendix A. Wait, what? Who the hell is in Appendix A? Excuse me, but I don't understand. My grandmother always said I would inherit her estate. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "I'm sorry, Miss Cooper, but the will is quite clear. The beneficiaries are listed here as the Harris family." "I've never heard of any Harris family. This makes no sense." I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Marcus, my friend from law school who came for moral support. He leaned in close. "Something's not right, Lil. This document looks new. When was it executed?" 3 days before she died," the lawyer answered. Richard sat across the room, his face blank. Too blank. "Richard, did you know about this?" I asked. "Your grandmother made her choices, Lillian. We should respect them." My cousin Alex stood up. "This is bullshit. Grandma Vera wouldn't cut us out like this." "Language, Alexander," Richard scolded, like he had any right. After the disaster at the lawyer's office, Marcus, Alex, and I went to grab coffee. "Lil, something's definitely off here. A deathbed will change that massive? Red flags everywhere." Marcus pulled out his legal pad. She was on heavy medication those last days. She barely recognized me. I stirred my coffee absently. Alex leaned forward. "Remember how Richard kept shooing us out of the room? Said Grandma needed rest?" "Yeah, but he stayed. Said he was comforting her." "That's worth looking into," Marcus said. "I have a friend at County General. Let me see what I can find out about visitors during her final days." 3 days later, Marcus called me at 2 a.m. "Lil, you need to see this. I got the visitor logs for Vera's room. Richard signed in multiple times when you and Alex weren't there. But here's the weird part. He wasn't alone. There's another signature, but it's illegible." I sat up in bed. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying your stepfather had someone else in that room with your dying grandmother. And the next day, suddenly there's a new will." My blood ran cold. That son of a bitch. He did something to her will. "We don't have proof yet, but I'm going to help you find it." I hung up and pulled out my laptop, searching through old emails. There it was, Richard's hospital visitor schedule he'd sent the family. Comparing it to what Marcus found, there were at least 6 visits he never told us about. What exactly was my stepfather doing during those secret visits to my dying grandmother? The next morning, Alex and I met at my apartment to figure out our next move. The coffee table was covered with papers. Vera's medical records, the visitor logs Marcus had gotten us, and a timeline we'd started putting together. "Look at this pattern. Richard visited at 2 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday when we were both at work." Alex rubbed his eyes. "Yeah, but that's not enough to prove anything. We need more. I've been tracking his car with that Find My app he made us all install for safety. Guess where he goes every Tuesday?" "Where?" I pulled up the map on my phone. "Oak Ridge. It's like an hour away. He's been going there consistently for years." "What's in Oak Ridge?" "That's what we're going to find out." We followed Richard the next Tuesday in Alex's beat-up Honda, staying a few cars behind. He led us to a quiet suburban neighborhood and parked in front of a 2-story house with blue shutters. "Holy crap. Is that a minivan in the driveway?" Alex whispered as we parked down the street. "Let's come back when he's not here. I want to know who lives in that house." Marcus called while we were driving back. "I've got something big. That nurse who was assigned to Vera's room during her final week? Her name is Pamela Johnson. She still works at County General." The next day, we met Pamela at a diner near the hospital. She looked nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. I could lose my job for talking about this. We just want to know what happened to our grandmother, I said. Your stepfather. He was very insistent about privacy during his visits. He'd ask me to leave the room, saying it was family business. I didn't think much of it until that lawyer showed up. What lawyer? Alex leaned forward. Thin guy, balding. He came with your stepfather, carrying a briefcase. I heard him say something about witnesses as I was leaving. Did you see my grandmother sign anything? Pamela hesitated. No, but when I came back in, there were papers on the bed tray. Your grandmother she was heavily sedated that day. She couldn't even hold a pen properly. My stomach dropped. Did you tell anyone? I mentioned it to my supervisor, but Richard is friends with the hospital administrator. Nothing came of it. After dropping Alex off, I decided to do something risky. I waited until Richard left for his golf game, then snuck into his home office. I knew his password pattern. Always my mom's birthday followed by whatever month it was. His email was a goldmine. There were dozens of messages to someone named Diane, dating back years. One from just after Vera died caught my eye. The plan worked perfectly. The old lady never knew what hit her. Once everything clears probate, we'll have everything we need to finally be together properly. No more hiding. I felt sick. Who the hell was Diane? I dug deeper into his files and found tax documents. There it was. A second address in Oak Ridge, property taxes for the blue-shuttered house, and a dependent claim form with names that made my blood run cold. Diane Harris, Tyler Harris, Emma Harris. Harris, the same name as the mysterious beneficiaries in Vera's new will. The front door slammed. Richard was home early. Lillian, what are you doing in my office? I closed the browser and turned around, my heart pounding. Just looking for that family photo album you borrowed. But I think I found something much more interesting, Richard. Or should I ask the Harris family about that? Richard's face went white. You've been snooping through my personal files? So is forging a will and committing elder abuse. Who are they, Richard? Your backup family? He grabbed my arm. Listen carefully. Drop this now, or you'll regret it. The next day, I showed Alex and Marcus everything I'd found. This is huge, Marcus said, reviewing the tax documents. He's been maintaining 2 households for years. I want to meet this Diane person, I said, pulling up a marriage certificate. Married 6 years ago in Oak Ridge. Bigamy's also illegal, by the way. We drove to the blue-shuttered house. A woman with perfect blonde hair answered with a toddler on her hip. Are you Diane Harris? Her smile faltered. Yes, who are you? I'm Lillian Cooper, Richard's stepdaughter. She ushered us inside, sending her children upstairs. He's never mentioned a stepdaughter. Funny, he never mentioned a second wife either. Diane sat down. What do you want? The truth. Did you know he changed my grandmother's will to leave everything to you? She looked shocked. What? No. Richard said his mother-in-law left him some money. Grandmother, I corrected. And it wasn't some money. It was a $3.2 million estate. Marcus showed her the hospital records and Pamela's statement. The day this will was signed, my grandmother was on morphine. Diane covered her mouth. Oh, God. The front door opened. Richard stormed in furiously. What the hell is this? You followed me? No, we followed the paper trail of your fraud. Richard pointed at the door. Get out. Not until you admit what you did, I said. You think you're so smart? You've got nothing but speculation. Actually, I have more than you think, like the recording device Grandma Vera kept in her hospital room. It was a complete bluff, but Richard's reaction was immediate. That's impossible. I checked the room thoroughly before I brought the lawyer. Not thoroughly enough. Those recordings would be inadmissible. I made sure she was agreeable when she signed. I just helped her understand that my family deserved... He stopped, realizing what he'd just admitted. Diane stood up. You did change the will. You manipulated that poor woman. It wasn't like that. Richard backpedaled. I pulled out my phone. By the way, this conversation is being recorded too. Richard lunged for my phone. Give me that! Alex stepped between us. Touch her and I'll have you arrested for assault on top of everything else. Richard backed up, pointing at each of us. You'll regret this. All of you. Diane grabbed her purse. I want you out of this house, Richard. Now. You don't understand what's at stake. I understand enough, she said. You lied to me for years. You manipulated an old woman. What kind of monster does that? 2 weeks later, the extended family gathered at what would have been Vera's birthday celebration. I'd invited everyone, including my father, distant relatives, and even the family lawyer. Richard hadn't wanted to come, but Dad insisted. I'd like to make a toast, I said, raising my glass. Everyone turned to me expectantly, to Grandma Vera, who taught me that family means honesty and integrity. I looked directly at Richard, which is why I'm devastated to share what I've discovered. Marcus set up a projector while Alex handed out folders to everyone. What is this? Dad looked confused. Evidence that Richard manipulated Grandma Vera on her deathbed to change her will and leave everything to his secret second family? Gasps filled the room. Richard stood up, his chair scraping the floor. This is absurd! She's making this all up. Am I? Because I have sworn statements from Nurse Pamela, hospital visitation logs, and these tax documents showing you supporting a second household in Oak Ridge? You've been cheating on me? Dad's voice cracked. It's not what it looks like, Richard stammered. Oh, really? Because it looks like you've been married to Diane Harris for 6 years while married to my father? That's bigamy, by the way. The family lawyer flipped through his folder. These signatures on the amended will, they don't match Mrs. Cooper's known signature samples. And here's the best part, I continued, playing the recording from Diane's house. Richard's voice filled the room. I made sure she was agreeable when she signed. I just helped her understand that my family deserved— You son of a bitch! Dad lunged at Richard, but my uncle held him back. There's more, Marcus added. We've filed motions to invalidate the will based on diminished capacity and undue influence. We're also pursuing criminal charges for elder abuse, coercion, and fraud. Richard looked around desperately. You can't prove anything! Actually, we can. Diane has agreed to testify against you. The door opened, and Diane walked in with her children. The room went silent. I'm sorry to intrude, she said, but my children and I wanted to return something that doesn't belong to us. She handed me a folder of legal documents. I've signed papers relinquishing any claim to Vera's estate. I had no idea what Richard had done. 3 months later, we all gathered at the courthouse. The judge's ruling was clear. This court finds the will dated 3 days before Vera Cooper's death to be invalid due to clear evidence of manipulation and fraud. The previous will shall be reinstated. Richard stood trial separately for elder abuse and fraud. He got 5 years, though he'd probably serve less. It didn't matter. His reputation was destroyed, both families had left him, and he'd lost his job after the scandal hit the local papers. As for Vera's estate, it was divided as she'd always intended, between me, Alex, and various family members, with donations to her favorite charities. Yesterday, I visited Grandma Vera's grave with fresh flowers. The inheritance had allowed me to establish a scholarship in her name for nursing students. I placed a small plaque beside her headstone. We got him, Grandma, just like you taught me. Always stand up for what's right no matter what. The spring breeze rustled the trees overhead, and somehow, I knew she was smiling. What would you have done if you were in Lillian's position? Would you have exposed Richard publicly at the family gathering, or handled things more privately through the courts? And do you think Diane deserved any blame for benefiting from the scheme, even if she claims she didn't know about it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this revenge story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this one. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next video.